G'day, all. Ben here, East West. Just going to have a look at the metals in this video. Let's just start off with the US dollar. And so last week we were just looking at this sort of contracting, and now of course with the bad payrolls data. Well, when I say bad, I mean it's beginning to edge a little bit further towards rate cuts. Uh, this sort of trend line, it feels like it'll probably get threatened into next week. So just because this cracks, I wouldn't necessarily say it's all over. I would just be more looking then at the big picture, thinking, okay, well, big picture, we're probably now, likely to do to maybe test that, and what that would just simply mean is that we've got this. This is actually the swing. Okay. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. That'll be the swing, and the next swing coming down there. I would say that, right? So, yeah, I mean, this will be a short-term thing, but ultimately, then I would expect. But we're on the verge of a trend change here because we've had this big run up, and now, of course, we've had the lower high, and now we're probably a very good chance of threatening this lower low. So we talked about this last week, that would be, now, was this going to be a headwind or a tailwind for the price of the metals? And right now it looks like, to me, it's going to be a tailwind. So let's just jump in and have a look at gold now. So this is what we looked at last week, talking about how this is looking like it's a good case to be resolved, and it obviously now it has. Okay, so we've broken above this height in a very conclusive and impulsive fashion. So that's kind of what we were looking at last week. So let's just go in and have a look at that. So this is where we sat last week, and we were talking about what we wanted to see. Is we thought this looked like an impulse. We were looking for a corrective pullback or some sort of correction, and then we wanted a strong move that took out these highs. So what happened? Corrective pullback, not really a pullback, and then we've got the strong move that's taken us through that top. So this has played out exactly as I laid it out last week, more or less. And in fact, this is exactly what I put on here last week. I haven't changed anything. The only thing I was looking for, of course, was I was thinking about the retracement. I wanted to get back to the 50, but it didn't do that. And that's all right. It doesn't have to. It's just an area to look for. But what we certainly got here was we got the impulsive move. I think it's fair to call that an impulse. And then we got basically here we've got looks like here we've got an A wave. Did that get lower? I'm doing this on the fly, so yeah, this looks like this is the lowest point. So pretty messy. I'm not 100% sure of it, but all I am sure of is that this whole thing is a correction of the rally up, and then we put on another leg. So it's played out pretty well, especially when we consider if we're coming off the lowest point here, we've effectively gone bang, 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 and we've come right up here into the high probability zone for wave 3, which would be of this degree. So this might be a little bit hard to see, but let me just change that color. Hopefully you can see that a little better, but a 1 wave, a 2 wave, then up here for a 3 wave. And I think even here, this probably subdivides in quite nicely as well. So nothing says that that's correct in terms of an Elliott sense, but it does all go together pretty well just as we build this up. So the expectation here is that we would get a sideways correction followed by one more push. Okay, so this all becomes projection work. Okay, so a lot of people then would glaze over. Okay, that's not what they want, but this is all going together pretty well. Okay, so we've got a base channel that's been broken by a strong impulsive rip, and that's all we're looking for, right? And we've got a trend change. We've got the trend change, and that's what we pointed out last week, and that's what we wanted. So what would be the point of call? Well, just looking at this, if I was thinking about this as in a 1, 2, 3 sense, where would I expect wave 4 to get to? This would become the high probability area for wave 4. Okay, and what does that line up with? Old structure. The resistance here is this, so this would fit in with old resistance, resistance, becoming new support. in a sideways motion before we went up and kicked to get 5. Okay, that would be the expectation. All right, and then at that point, wherever this fifth wave comes in, and I don't know where that, I don't even know if it's a wave pattern yet, but this is just what I'd be looking for. This is what I'd be thinking about as I can see this, because it looks like it's playing out quite well. Wherever the fifth wave tops out, and ideally I'd like it to top out a bit higher, because I want, if I'm going to practice the principle of Elliott, I would prefer to see a 3-wave correction back into the price territory of wave 4 that lined up with the 50%. That would be what I'd want to see, but I don't know I'm going to get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove this, and I'm just going to remove that for now, because this now becomes the area where I'm interested in. Okay, so that's the point of call next week. I'm looking for this, and then I'd be expecting that. This could crap out for sure, but so far this has remained pretty accurate. I don't know why I'd go away from this. I mean, it's all playing to the tune, so stick with it. Like I said, now you're looking for the correction, and this would be the best price territory to get the correction in. Okay, so that would be the play. So just coming over to silver, and obviously this one was being a pain because it was not good. But even though we got this lower low which kind of wrecked things a bit, now we've got a very definitive breakaway of the trend. Okay, and this is now what you would call an impulsive rip. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the start of this would, to my eye, looks like the start of something like this, and that is what I expect to happen. Okay, because I think I pointed this out again last week. The rally, the correction, the rally, the correction, and that this looks a bit more like a bull flag that's now broken up. So I think now we can come in a bit closer here, and now that we've got something to work with, and this is the problem, right? Because a lot of this stuff, this sort of stuff is not good to trade, but now that we've got this, we've got something to run off, right? So even just come in here on an hourly. So, of course, we got this little lower low, and that was a little bit of a problem, but we more or less held this support. So, even just looking at this now. So, just to start off with, through all this chop, this was the first, even though you can see this is a trend, right? That's trending up. That gave us the warning sign. But this was the first measured move play that got to target. But since then, of course, we've had very little in the way of actual good measured moves. I mean, this one was a 78.6, which you don't particularly trade, but since then we haven't had a retrace at all. Okay, so when we don't have a retrace, I mean, yeah, pretty tricky to put an Elliott case to this, other than to say 1, 2, yeah, very difficult to make 5 waves up here due to the structure. I mean, you'd be thinking 1, 2. Is that 3? It's probably too far. So this is what I mean with Elliott. Sometimes it looks really clear like it does in gold, and sometimes it not so much. Okay, so this looks more like, just the way that, I mean, like I said, that is difficult to make an impulse out of, in my opinion. 3, well, that has to be 4 because we've broken the bottom, and is that the big rip for 5? Is that one complete wave up? Because there's no real clear Elliott case here in silver, I'd be much more inclined to think about the larger retracement. I'm going to take that off because that's not a clear Elliott pattern to me. It's got to be clear for me to lean into it, and it's not. Okay, so we've got this as a bit of a base channel, and of course this remains the overall retracement area that you'd be looking for, and that could make sense. You'd kind of want 3 waves, 3 sort of waves movement back to that. But remember though that the last measured move that we actually managed to nail was coming off this peak here, and it was off this low. So the next one I would, pardon me, just let me double check. Yep. So the next one I would come off is here. So even just looking at this in a little bit of a tighter sense, I'd probably be looking for that. But of course, nothing says that this is the top. But one way or the other, we're definitely now extending away. So you've got to be on the lookout for chances to get long. Okay. Now, just as it sits at the moment, and we're on an hourly here. Now I've just moved in a bit closer here because we did get a free bar outside the Keltners. We got another one here, and that just means that the market just needs to not necessarily correct hugely in price, but certainly at least in time, we need to do a little bit of correcting. So I think the problem here is even that the market just may not. This would be the big payrolls rip, I would have thought. Depends what we've got. Yeah. So even to correct this, if you were going to go a little bit more aggressively and just playing it on a shorter term, you could certainly take this retracement, I think, as a short-term trade. Okay, and look where that just puts us back into very, very nicely. Okay, and that's would be right back into the old highs prior to the number. I mean, this is, is that just over the number fuckery? Probably, but you just got to play it as you see it, and that is just looks like a good zone. I probably wouldn't lean into that trend channel so much now. I might be looking for something a little bit more conclusive. And that's the problem, right? That wick low is problematic, but that is just where I'd be looking for. So I'll leave these markings on here as it sits, but that'd be the trade for me. Okay, I'd be looking for that, and I'd be looking for the extension up to the measured move. That would be how I'd play it. Once we start getting into that zone, we've now then got to come out here. We're on an hourly. If we just took this back out to a 4 hour, just to give us a bit more context, because it's worth acknowledging where we are too on the bigger picture. So here's the low. So we've broken the retracement, which is great. There's not really much in the way up here. So I think you've got this old peak here. That's kind of in between. There's not much in the way here. I think it's just a matter of finding the place to go long, and even if you come back, that ties back into that structure. So the old resistance becoming support would be a good sign for that sort of continuation trade. So that's how I'll leave it. If I just come back in here to the hourly, I've got 2 there. I don't need that, mate. That's where I'm going to sit. That's where I'm going to leave it. I'll leave that with you. So I don't know what else I can really tell you. That I think I've provided a pretty accurate picture over the last little while, though these videos are not getting a lot of traction. So I would say that they're on their last legs. But I'm realistic about what these sort of analysis videos on YouTube are about, and they're not about accuracy or giving you good ideas and good trades. They're about entertainment value, and I appreciate that. But I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to analyze as accurately as I can, which I think I do a pretty good job of. But that doesn't resonate. So we'll see how we go. But these metal videos are probably on their last legs. We'll see how this one goes this week. But this might be close to the end of it. So thanks for watching. I will see you next week one way or the other. But next week might be the last one. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.